Tonight on KGW News, the Homeland Security Secretary checks out what the president described as Portland's war zone.
We hope to have peace and secure some partnerships that will keep our officers safe and allow us to enforce federal law.
Her request to local leaders and the promise she made if something doesn't change.
We were going to send 4 times the amount of federal officers here.
Plus, what people who live just a few blocks from the ICE facility want the nation to know about their neighborhood.
I just wish that people would bother to actually look at what it's really like here.
Then, where witnesses jumped into action after a medical helicopter crashed onto a highway.
It took every ounce of effort from about 15 people to push that helicopter.
And later, the new system that will send an alert right to your car when flashing lights and sirens are headed your way. Good evening, everyone. It appears Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem has now left Portland after her whirlwind surprise visit. We saw her board her plane at PDX around 8 this evening and that aircraft pull away from the private terminal. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko. During her roughly 10-hour stop, Secretary Noem met with the governor, the mayor, the police chief, the sheriff, and others. In just a moment, we'll hear more about what Noem asked for, including a buffer zone around the South Portland ICE building and local leaders' takes on how those conversations went. But first, let's bring you up to speed on where we stand some 11 days after President Trump said he was sending in the National Guard. While troops from Oregon and California have mobilized, 2 court rulings over the weekend have put those deployments on hold, with the federal appeals court set to hear the matter first thing on Thursday. And with the White House continuing to paint Portland as war-torn, by and large, local leaders are still trying to convey that protests, including some violence, are isolated to a block or 2, are still under control, and that further federal intervention is not needed. Let's go live to Catherine Cook now near the ICE building. Catherine, we heard Secretary Noem asking specifically for more help from local and state agencies when it comes to protecting the ICE facility.
We don't know why there are more police out here tonight, but there are, including additional state police troopers who are wearing riot gear and actually just left the scene about 15 minutes ago. It's also worth noting that the entire front of the ICE building, really the entire block around the building, remains taped off with police tape tonight, put here earlier for Secretary Noem's visit. And finally, this is now an active crime scene after some sort of a confrontation between protesters, which police are now investigating. So a lot going on here right now. Police Chief Bob Day said he was grateful for the opportunity to meet with Noem. He said he's going to strive for shared values, including safety and conflict reduction.
One of the things I've been dealing with all day here in Portland is a bunch of pansies that are elected into political office who won't make a decision to keep their citizens safe.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem didn't hold back Tuesday night. In an interview with Fox News, she recounted her surprise visit to Portland, where she toured the ICE facility following months of protests and clashes with immigration officers. Noem didn't offer media availability, but when she landed in Portland Tuesday morning, KGW's Kyla Boshi was waiting for her inside this private terminal.
Secretary, what do you hope to accomplish by visiting Portland today?
We hope to have peace and secure some partnerships that will keep our officers safe and allow us to enforce federal law.
Do you have any interest in speaking to Portlanders for an objective view of the situation here?
We believe the president has the right to keep every single citizen safe.
After touring the ICE facility, Secretary Noem met with local law enforcement, including Portland Police Chief Bob Day, about keeping the federal property safe.
I told them what we wanted. We wanted more security here at the building, a bigger buffer zone to keep our officers safe. We wanted to have their streets opened up again and not let the anarchists run this city anymore, that we would ask them to continue to back us up like we've been asking for instead of what they've been doing the last several months, which is just leaving our officers hang out to dry.
We did speak holistically about the need for a change in the environment and a change in behavior down there, and I'm in agreement with that.
Asked about specific changes the police bureau might make, Chief Day wouldn't disclose any, but said he's open to the possibility of bringing in more officers to patrol the area. He also said communication is the first step in resolving differences.
And we continue to strive for a shared value of safety. The Secretary obviously and understandably is very concerned for the safety of her employees, her officers, as well as the building itself.
Nome also met with Portland Mayor Keith Wilson.
Just met with the mayor, and I'm so extremely disappointed. He's continuing to play politics, did not commit to any of those promises, and said that he'd give me an answer by tomorrow. And I'm hopeful that he will.
We requested an interview with Mayor Wilson. His office opted to share a statement. It said in part, "What Secretary Nome saw today in Portland matches our reports. Portland continues to manage public safety professionally and responsibly, irrespective of the claims of out-of-state social media influencers. I continue to maintain that the tactics used by federal agents at the ICE facility are troubling and likely unconstitutional. I will continue to demand that federal officers operating in our city adhere to the same high standards we require of the Portland Police Bureau." Nome said she left Mayor Wilson with a warning.
What I told him is that if he did not follow through on some of these security measures for our officers, we were going to cover him up with more federal resources, and that we were going to send 4 times the amount of federal officers here.
Back live in South Portland, Chief Day said he would remain engaged in what's happening on the South Waterfront and continue to make arrests when necessary. But again, he says his key takeaway from today when he met with Nome was fostering communication. David, back to you.
Yeah, perhaps we are seeing the law enforcement presence on the ground change already. Catherine Cook on the South Waterfront. Appreciate it, Catherine. Well, earlier in the day, the secretary also met with Oregon's governor for roughly 20 minutes. Governor Kotek said they talked about the situation at the ICE facility and that she reiterated to the secretary that it's contained to a block around the building. Here's how the governor summed it up.
I think it was professional and cordial. I mean, she's a former governor, so she knows what my job is. We're trying to talk to each other as people who have to make decisions and keep people safe, and I thought it was a good conversation.
The governor also expressed concern about the use of tear gas by federal agents protecting the building, which has impacted nearby residents. Meanwhile, the governor is now pushing for Oregon National Guard troops that have been called up to be demobilized. Since the 200 troops are still under federal control, she made that request to the Pentagon, specifically Northern Command, pointing to the temporary restraining order that blocks them from being deployed. A federal appeals court is set to hear a motion by the Trump administration to put a hold on that order on Thursday morning. We'll keep you posted on that, of course. Well, much of our recent reporting is focused on the block or two around the ICE facility. Catherine, case in point there, where residents say they are tired of dealing with tear gas and noise, among other things. Some blaming the protesters, others blaming federal agents. So today we wanted to widen out in the neighborhood where people told us even with the protests nearby, not much has really changed in their day-to-day.
So when you hear things like this is a war zone, what does that mean to you?
They've never seen a real war zone. I mean, it's that simple.
Well, it's a beautiful fall day and clearly not a hellscape.
You get half a block away from the ICE headquarters or a block away, and it's just like it always is in Portland, beautiful and peaceful and friendly.
No one we spoke with in the South Waterfront today thought their neighborhood needed the presence of federal troops. Well, while in town today, Secretary Nome says she also was there as federal agents took a man into custody they said was in the country illegally and previously convicted of sex crimes. That is the work she says protesters and local leaders are getting in the way of. The department also released a list today of 10 people along with photos. It says are in the country illegally that ICE has recently arrested in Portland. They include those broadly convicted of drugs and weapons charges, sex abuse, assault, burglary, and in one case, a man wanted on a homicide warrant. In a statement, DHS says, quote, "These are heinous criminals. Antifa domestic terrorists are trying to obstruct law enforcement from removing from our communities," end quote there. Meanwhile, immigrant advocates point out that ICE agents have also arrested migrants without a criminal history or only minor traffic violations, in some cases as they were showing up to court hearings related to their immigration status. All right, halfway across the country, hundreds of Texas National Guard members are now on the ground in Illinois preparing for deployment to Chicago. Video showing troops carrying rifles and gas masks at an Army Reserve Center about an hour outside the Windy City. The Illinois governor says he was not given a heads up. A federal judge is set to hear that state's effort to temporarily stop the deployment on Thursday. A lot of strands to follow. Stay with KGW for the latest updates surrounding Portland's ICE facility and the National Guard as Thursday's appeals court hearing approaches. Look for the latest on KGW.com, on our mobile app. Download that if you haven't, and our free TV app, KGW Plus. Okay, now to breaking news. In a fire in Vancouver, we got some video of heavy smoke coming in from a KGW viewer. According to dispatch logs, crews responded to a fire at Pacific Coast Shredding. That is a metal shredding facility at the Port of Vancouver. No word on the cause here or if anyone was hurt. We, of course, will update you if we learn more. Okay, let's take you outside now on this Tuesday night. You know what? A showstopper of a day, right? That saw so many spots stretch into the upper 70s. Hope you had a chance to soak it up. Meteorologist Joe Ranieri is here with us now because, Joe, it sounds like change is coming.
It is, and it's going to be much cooler heading into tomorrow, but a lot of sunshine. You know, the last couple of days have been making me feel like I just want to hold on a little bit longer to that summer weather. Well, I think that potentially today was the last day we're going to be seeing temperatures as warm as we have for not just this year, but maybe into the early part of next year as well, maybe next spring. But this is what we saw earlier this afternoon. Daytime highs running very close to 80 degrees. Vancouver clocked in at 80. Along the Oregon coast, absolutely stunning conditions with clear skies, thanks in part to the ridge of high pressure and that east wind that kind of pushed out some of the clouds. Tomorrow, we'll be waking up to some patchy areas of fog, mainly throughout the central and southern part of the Willamette Valley. Here we are going into tomorrow. Clouds will kind of increase a little bit, but for the most part, we're looking at mostly to partly sunny skies a good portion of the day. I should say just a mix of clouds and sunshine throughout a good portion of the day. Tuesday, or rather Thursday, is going to start off sunny, and then clouds increase by the later part of the afternoon and evening, and that is when we could be seeing a threat of some light rain moving through. But looking at tomorrow, yeah, average high 68 degrees. We're going to be below average, back to cool temperatures, not as warm, but we stay sunny. Again, we're going to be looking at daytime highs nearly 20 degrees cooler tomorrow, and our temperatures will really start to drop heading into the upcoming weekend. I'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
I couldn't last forever, could it? Thanks, Joe.